Side right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room. My name is Louis, and I'm joined by a very special guest today. It's my nephew, who'll just be with us for the beginning of this stream. Make sure that if you are watching, you do like and subscribe to the video, and please do get your thoughts in the live chat. This is the chat room. This is by the viewers for the viewers. So a difficult day yesterday. We'll definitely get into that. We'll talk about that in depth. So get all of your thoughts in on that. But first of all, I just want to ask my nephew, because he's been desperate to come on here and talk to you. Well, what do you think Liverpool need to do in order to win the league this year?
They've got a great team. I think they could maybe sign a new midfielder.
Yeah, who do you think that could be?
Jude Bellingham, maybe. He's 19 years old. He's got good dribbling. He's got good passing and good pace. I reckon if Liverpool could sign him, I reckon they'll get a good start to the league. And I reckon they can maybe win it over City, maybe. Obviously, they've signed Nunez, which is looking great for them. But I think if they could sign Bellingham, that would really get them the league, maybe.
Nice one. Cheers, mate. Right. So you've heard it here first. We must sign Jude Bellingham this year in order to win the league, which I think is what a lot of us have been saying anyway. But yeah, let's get into things. Thank you to everybody who has joined. Thanks to everybody who's already got the live chat going before hours before the stream even started. Gargoyle Blaster, thank you very much. Very dedicated. 3:28 p.m. Bloody getting involved. So much appreciated. Let's start there. Gargoyle Blaster says Liverpool need a big repair. We can say now clearly that Klopp did wrong with his decision to continue with this squad and not bring another 2 or 3 refreshing top young players. And I think I have a strong feeling that's going to be supported by a lot of people who are just now joining the stream. So please do let me know if you agree with Gargoyle Blaster, who's been here from the early hours, it seems. The big lacking of strong and quick attacking players in the central midfield that can create chances for the scorers, and the lack of creativity in general is screaming for the sky. I don't think that's quite the saying you're looking for, but I get what you're talking about. Don Van Dijk, hope you're doing well. Elias Elmi, definitely not a very happy bunny, so I won't read out your comment, but thank you very much for getting involved nonetheless. And Hyla says, good evening. Sky Sports reports Wolves are poised to smash their transfer record after agreeing a deal worth 45 million euros plus 5 million euros in add-ons for Portuguese midfielder Matthias Nunez. And that is something that we will be talking about today as well, because that puts several spanners in the works for a lot of people's supposed plans for our transfer window. Anissa says this is going to be a therapy session. Yes, I think it will be, won't it? I wasn't even able to actually watch the game, so I do apologise if any of my opinions are a little bit out of date, bearing in mind what happened yesterday. But I am on holiday, so you can go easy on me a little bit there. Pank LFC says, good evening, love from India. Thank you very much. Thank you to Pank. And Darwin New Kite, you'll never walk alone, says, evening, Reds family. Anthony, good to see you as well. So everybody who is here, please do like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and please do get involved in the live stream as well. This is the chat room. This is for the viewers, by the viewers. So get involved and let's make this a damn good show. All right, we'll go for about half an hour or so and see where we are. So let's talk about some things that have been happening. Look, yesterday's result aside, and we can talk about that a little bit. I think what I mainly want to address is the reaction afterwards, because Twitter is and most Liverpool places are never particularly pleasant to be in when we do drop points. But 2 draws in a row in our opening game of the season, people already thinking that we should have signed 1 or 2 more players. It was a recipe. It was always going to be a recipe for disaster, wasn't it? Don Van Dijk says, "Thank God I didn't watch the game yesterday." Yes, so we're aligned on that one at least. And Carter, good to see you, says, "I'm going to sound crazy, but I think Jones is superior to Nunez. I think they're both great. We need Curtis to get minutes, as he'd be key to beating City." Yeah, it's unfortunate that he hasn't been able to be more involved at the start of the season, because with the Thiago injury, there's definitely a need for him, isn't there? And I think this is probably our worst start in terms of injuries. Someone went through like the years with Klopp, and obviously the 2021 season I think was probably the most amount of injuries that we've had by game week 2 or whatever it was. But this year we're looking worse already. I mean, we've got a lot of players back, and a lot of them aren't as serious as that season. But just the sheer number of players that we've had injured or picking up reoccurring injuries, etc., is definitely an alarming statistic, isn't it? So, what's the answer to that? Should we have seen it coming? Should we have seen that Simicast would get injured, that Jones wouldn't be match fit? Oxlade-Chamberlain, yes, you could argue we should have seen that coming. Thiago as well has never been too reliable. But what is it? This is where, do we actually know anything about this kind of physiotherapy and anything like Liverpool physios do? If they say that someone's good to go, they're good to go. Is somebody really injury prone? That's what I've always found quite fascinating. Like, why, just because Gomez has pulled his ACL, why does that mean he's more likely to, I don't know, bloody break his toe or dislocate his shoulder or something? You know what I mean? Like a completely different part of his leg or what have you. I don't get it. Pank LFC says VVD, Virgil van Dijk, a little slow to cover the first goal. Yeah, so that is something that I did see. So there was someone, I don't get all of my news from TikTok, but that is where I saw somebody criticising Van Dijk for the goal, actually. And maybe they're right. Maybe they are right, and he was a bit slow. I feel like he was intentionally a little bit slow to close the gap that the Zaha had to shoot at. If he'd have overstepped it, if he'd have gone too close to Zaha, we risk another penalty, or Zaha's just able to quickly turn inside and then get a shot off completely unpressured. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit too favoursome to Van Dijk. Maybe he was poor. So let me know your thoughts on that as well. Gomez had a slight issue before the game. Same with Henderson. Yes. And that is why Nat Phillips started. And I don't think a lot of people were happy with his performance, were they? So let me know what you're thinking about that as well. He was put in the deep end. Fabinho should have stopped it, and Phillips just isn't good enough with a high line. Yep, thank you, Sean. Good to see you getting involved. What Nunez did was no doubt a red card offence, but the shithousery Anderson did was at least a yellow/red card offence throughout the game. Darwin just hit a boiling point and snapped. Well, that's what I always try to give. Apologies if you can hear babies crying and background noise. This is a family holiday, of course, so I don't have the luxury of my home studio. Apologies for that. This is where I sit. Yes, you can't headbutt someone, or you can't attempt to headbutt someone. That's obviously a red card, and that's fine. I'm happy with that being a red card decision. But as Liverpool fans, I feel like we should get behind our lot a little bit and not applaud Anderson for being a shithouse. Like, the amount of times he was fouled off the ball should be enough for a yellow card at least. I don't know. But then you also see that he got like death threats and stuff, which is bloody ridiculous, isn't it? Like, Darwin Nunez could have easily just ignored him and gone on to score the winning goal, but he let his emotions get the better of him, and he'll learn from it, and that'll be the end of it. I imagine he won't do that again. I didn't know he could be so hot-headed, to be honest with you, and I can't imagine that's the first time he's ever had a centre back like hustling him a lot. I don't know, man. I mean, I know he's 23, but he's played in a competitive league before. It's not like he's come from Ligue 1. He's played in a competitive league in Portugal. He would have had some shit houses. He played against Pepe, for God's sake. Like, he's got no pace to catch up, so he would have just been playing like a shit house the whole time, wouldn't he? You seen idiots saying Gomez should have started when he clearly would have if he was fit enough. Exactly. People, it's not Phillips's fault, is it, at the end of the day? And again, this is me sticking up for our players a little bit too much. It's millimetres in it, wasn't it? The offside. If he was offside, brilliant. Well done, Phillips. All good. No worries. Clean sheet. Fantastic. But, it's just unlucky. I'll defend Hit Phillips to the hilt. I love the man. And nothing he can say or do will ever put me off him. Thank you to everybody who's already getting involved in the live chat. It's great to see. And everybody who's just getting in now. This is the chat room, not in my normal setting, but I'm on holiday and I'm still doing it. So that deserves a like, I think. A like and a subscribe if you haven't done already. And please do get involved with all of your opinions on what happened yesterday and beyond. Apologies for any background noises you can have. This is a family holiday. Kelleher should start. Yes, he should. Yes, Kelleher should start, Tommy. Thank you very much. Frustrated that we still haven't done anything to overcome low block teams. Don't just mean the lack of transfer, but also the lack of tactical changes. Well, you say that, Anissa. I think yesterday was just an issue of not scoring the goals. In our opening 2 games, we've had the highest XG out of any club. So that's higher than Man City's XG. And if you all want to, you can all sit there and say, "Oh, well, where's the trophy for XG?" Or, "Well, it doesn't matter. We've got 2 points." But it tells us where not necessarily the blame lies, but it tells us that, maybe, shock horror, it's not a case of us being unable to deal with low blocks. And it's not a case of the midfield being totally devoid of creation where we don't have Thiago there. Maybe it's a case that we're not just not taking our chances. We're getting into them. We're getting into we're creating chances, sorry. We just haven't necessarily taken them. So anybody who just missed that, we currently have the highest XG out of any club in the league from the first 2 games. So not something to celebrate, obviously. We only have 2 points from 6. But it is something to contemplate when you're thinking of, where you think the blame lies or where you think we should get angry or who we should be angry at, etc. Maybe it's not the midfield. And that's not me saying we don't need a midfield signing. You can't catch me out like that. I'm just trying to give you the whole picture and make it a bit more rounded. God knows how much Guaita only got booked in the 91st minute when he was time wasting for 90 minutes. Yeah, time wasting is never dealt with, is it? Referees just don't have a grasp on that kind of stuff at all. Adam says, are we panicking too much? Maybe. I'm certainly not. And that is what I'm here to kind of argue. I'm here to sort of calm down people a little bit because I think there is a lot of panic going on. I get it. Man City are looking formidable and unbeatable, and they don't even bloody need Haaland to smash Bournemouth 4-0. But there's still time. There's still time. Maybe that is a bit delusional, but who knows? Another match without Keita, another match dropped points. The Keita propaganda is starting to pay off, isn't it? I'm fully on board with it now. Imagine he plays against Man United and we win. It's got to be him, isn't it? Another angle shows Virgil was playing Zaha on 2, so Phillips wouldn't have mattered. Well, if that's true, then that is very interesting. If that's absolutely true, then that's brilliant for my Nat Phillips propaganda, isn't it? Thoughts on Van Dijk, says Adam. So I just want to clarify for anybody who wasn't here at the beginning, I wasn't actually able to watch the game yesterday. I'm on holiday, so I couldn't watch it. You can't access Sky Sports in bloody the EU anymore, and we weren't at an Irish bar yesterday, so I couldn't watch it. But in terms of the goal, maybe he could have done better. Tracking back, and also if he played him onside, I think that's very interesting as well, because everyone was very keen to get on Nat Phillips back. He's just an easy target, isn't he? It's a very easy target. And what do you expect from your 5th choice centre-back? People were saying we need to get rid of him. Get rid of him. He should never play for us again. But he's our 5th choice. Who else are you going to get who will be our 5th choice centre-back and be happy with it and play any better than Nat Phillips will? Let me know. Let me know in the live chat if you genuinely think there's somebody who would sit on not even the bench at times. If VVD, Kanate, Matip and Gomez are fit, our 5th choice doesn't even make it to the bench, does he? Who's going to do that and be good enough to actually play when called upon? I think you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to find it, aren't you? Glad you agree, Adam. Thank you very much. It's always nice to hear. Selection says midfield lack creativity, over rely on Trent to get up and down the pitch, will leave his side vulnerable. And Heiner says every game last season when Liverpool faced opposition that played the 3 central defender system, they struggled. Some of the games were solved through a tactical change late in the game. Well, Nunez getting himself sent off certainly didn't help, and I think a lot of people agree that if we'd have stayed with 11 men, we may have just been able to sneak a winner there. But again, it's not everything, but I will go back to that XG stat because I do think it's important. We've all formed the opinion that we're not very good against low blocks. Therefore, whenever we struggle against a team that's low block or we don't win automatically, it's, our midfield is crap. We can't beat it. But out of the first 2 games of the season, we've got a higher XG, higher expected goals than any other team. So that tells me it's not an issue of creativity or getting past the low block. It tells me that that's a case of our finishing not being right, which, can't be easily rectified necessarily. But again, it just tells you where our focus should maybe be. I don't know. Food for thought, perhaps. VVD looks off it since the injury. I feel like he's been holding back a bit. Not last year, not last season. Didn't get that impression at all. I just think this year's got a very weird vibe to it. I was having this conversation with someone from the LFC transfer room yesterday. This whole season just feels weird. I think it's because of there's a lot of negativity going into this season. We've had those injuries, and maybe it's everything else going on in the UK as well. Maybe football's just not the same with bloody heat waves and energy prices soaring, etc., etc. But no, there's something not right, and I think a lot of people will feel that as well. Maybe they don't realise it, but there's something not right this year, and it's not very nice. So we could just start to pick up some wins. Maybe if we batter United, I'll start to feel a bit better, won't I? Gargoyle Blaster says, I didn't see the whole game because I fell asleep, but Paul Tierney is an awful referee and all the time ruined Liverpool games. Also, last year against Tottenham, he needed to send off Harry Kane. Well, Tottenham seem to be getting very lucky with their officials recently, don't they? They've had it against us several years in a row. And in the Chelsea game, they were very lucky to come away with a point, weren't they? Van Dijk has had his worst 2 games in a Liverpool shirt. Bloody hell, that's well, he's very good, isn't he? So I don't think worst is even necessarily a bad thing. I still reckon it's better than most Premier League defenders. One could argue that the only reason Liverpool got a point yesterday was the Nunez sending off. Liverpool didn't look like scoring before the sending off. Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe that is a fair criticism. You probably watched the game and I didn't, but let's not pile on Nunez just yet, everyone. Let's give him time. I hate to say this, but this season is giving me 2021 vibes. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just genuinely scarred from it, and just seeing those injuries coming thick and fast, it's like, yeah, this ain't good. It would just be a shame, wouldn't it, if we're thinking of, I mean, I'm not, by the way, if we were thinking of having to write off the season in terms of titles, etc. That would be a kick in the teeth, wouldn't it? But we're not there yet, and we're nowhere near. We're nowhere near that point. Last time I said here, Fabinho is really bad. Someone said I'm talking shit. It's been time since he performed good. Last 11 matches, 8 times opponents scored first. People are running straight through our defence. Maybe he should have done better on the turnover for that goal. I'm not necessarily sure. Maybe you have got a point. He just, from what I've seen of him, he just looks like someone who has been run into the ground a little bit, and that does come from us not having an out-and-out backup for Fabinho, which is something else that maybe should have been addressed in the transfer window. We all go on about needing an attacking player, a player who can create things from the midfield, which doesn't normally do that. But we've kind of neglected it. I think we all kind of assume that Jordan Henderson could be a backup, but if we wanted to actually give Fabinho a decent break, or, if he gets a serious injury, Jordan Henderson can play there once in a while. He can play there once in a while against an average side. But if Fabinho misses a big game or a Champions League night, or is out for a prolonged period of time, Jordan Henderson will get exposed in that position very quickly, because he's a reactionary player. He reacts to where the ball goes and then does his thing. Fabinho at his best is proactive. He spots the danger before anyone else, before it happens, and that's why he's called the lighthouse for us. Carter says, I think a good way to look at things is from the viewpoint of sensible rivals or neutrals, and they all think our midfielders, apart from Thiago or Fab, are pony, except TalkSport, who still like Henderson. Wait, hang on, I didn't really read that properly. Make sure that you do like the video and subscribe, everybody. We've got 37 people here, so make sure we get everyone pressing that like button and keep getting involved in the live chat as well. This is the chat room, and we're just going through what happened yesterday and everyone's reaction to it. Let me just reread that again. I think a good way to look at things is from the viewpoints of sensible rivals or neutrals and what they all think of midfielders, apart from Thiago or Fab. Can you genuinely, and this is not a dig or anything, and I'm not saying our midfield is perfect or outstanding or anything, but can you genuinely call most of our midfielders pony when last season we got over 90 points in the Prem and didn't lose a single knockout game until the Champions League final by a single goal that, upon reflection, was offside? And we lost out on the league title because another team couldn't hold out like the pricks that they are on the final day. Do you get that far with a pony midfield apart from two players? I don't think so. And those two aren't even reliable. So it's not like we played with those two the whole season and, we carried one player. Those two are missing from several key games. I know we dropped points in some of them, fair enough. But lots of players were involved. It wasn't just those two in the midfield. Lots of players were involved in wins, in losses, in draws, and got us where we were last year. So I think that's a little bit harsh, but I'm not saying that our midfield is perfect. We need a bloody win and a convincing one at it. Well, I'm just gutted that Darwin Nunez won't get to face Lisandro Martinez. No, not Lisandro. Martinez in the Man United game. I'm gutted about that. So we'll have to see if Firmino can conjure up a performance. But I feel like him and Salah, I feel like they love the Man United game. I don't know if I'm chatting shit there, but I feel like he'll get himself up for that, definitely. Was Van Dijk that bad? Thought he did decent yesterday. Well, maybe he did, Anthony. Again, I wasn't actually able to watch the game, so I'm just talking from a couple of short clips that I've seen, especially around the goal and stuff like that. So you'll have to rely on the chat for that one. Selection says, will be interesting to see if we stay close to City, no games in hand this time around. Well, it's just far too early for all that stuff, isn't it? Like we got back 14 points on them from January onwards last year. Hopefully we don't have to work that hard as normal, but it's just very reactionary, everything that's going on, and I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of how outraged everybody was yesterday. Some of the delusion from our fan base yesterday was ridiculous. I mean, I saw people saying they genuinely thought that, like, I'm not even misquoting them. They genuinely thought they could do things better than Klopp, which I just think is insane to even believe. Like, to utter those words and not regret, like to type that out and think, yes, I mean this. This reflects well on me. I sound like a totally sane person, and then press that tweet button and not delete it. I think that's just wild. So I did have to go on a bit of a blocking spree yesterday, if I'm being honest. Emily Roberts says teams know how to play against us now as we play the same system. I think we should maybe change up the system a little bit for the United game. Well, to be fair, we play a 4-3-3, but things always change. From season to season, there's always a slight difference. And I don't think, whenever we go on a bit of a bad run, we always jump to that conclusion. When we lost to Real Madrid a couple of years ago in the Champions League, what was it, quarterfinals or round of 16? People said we needed to change how our system works. We went on that bad spell in the middle of last season. We said the same thing. I don't think it's the system. I think it does change and progress. Like, we've got Nunez now. That's automatically an evolution of what we've been doing before. That we haven't had an out-and-out striker in the Jurgen Klopp era, and that has changed how we play. So not only do the opposition teams still need to get used to that, so do we. So that's more likely what it is. Don Van Dijk said, "Oh no, I've read that one already." We need to get the side fit and go for a charge in the cups. We might not beat everyone, but we don't lose very often at all. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people think we're going to ignore the cups this year because we just won them. I hope that's not the case. I really do. Cliff Jackson says we need to try different formations instead of 4-3-3 every match. Benitez used to set the team up to counter the opponents. But Cliff, we've been playing a 4-3-3 the whole time Klopp's been here. And in that time, we've gotten a Premier League, our first in 30 years, our 6th Champions League, another League Cup, and another FA Cup. And we've kept up with Man City in the league throughout that time period. I don't think the fact that on paper we line up in a 4-3-3 every game is massively influential. I really don't. I think it is much more complex than that. And yet, again, we've created so many chances in these first two games. We just haven't taken them. Like, that's what I've always found quite irritating listening to commentators when we don't score a goal. Because as soon as it gets to like the 70th minute, all commentators will go on about it. If it's still like Liverpool nil, they'll be like, "Oh, it's brilliant defending from whoever. You know, they've been fantastic putting their bodies on the line. Liverpool haven't had a sniff." And then you go back through the highlights, and we've had like 3 or 4 big chances where we've hit the bar, hit the post, the goalkeeper's pulled out a weldy. That's got nothing to do with the formation. It's got nothing to do with our creativity, our midfield options. That's just we've had chances and they've not been taken. And it's got nothing to do with the opposition's defending either. So let me cool down a minute. I'm meant to be the voice of reason here, but I'm getting vexed a little bit. This game is on us and only us. Chances are plenty, but we're not taking it. That's facts. Yeah, I agree with you. We've had chances and we just haven't taken them. That's my point. Is that it's whilst you can still believe we need a new midfielder, and you can still believe that we actually created chances. And in these games, the midfield have not necessarily been the problem. Those are not mutually exclusive opinions. You can believe both, and that is where I sit. We had chances, we didn't take them. Do we need a new midfielder? Probably yes. That's fine. You can believe that. I think we're getting closer to rebuild stage. Well, yeah, we're kind of in it, aren't we? But we've got a few old players. I think this is one of the oldest Klopp teams we've ever had in terms of the amount of like over 30s, etc. Coppen, good to see you. Says really pissed off with Klopp and his stubbornness. Love the guy, but he is getting it wrong this season. Heck, 3 forwards have left and only 1 has come in. Not to mention that midfield. Well, what do you think of what I just said? If you caught the back end of my rant there, I'd be interested to know. If not, rewind like literally a minute or two, and I was kind of talking about that as well. What has been the problem in these last 2 games? Records show we don't run without Thiago. That is alarming, isn't it? I agree with you there, and I do believe that is rooted in facts, isn't it? Carter says, I like our midfielders, but a good way to look at things is by speaking to people without bias, I think you mean. And they all think we could upgrade, and that probably means we should. Curtis and Naby are great. So I think our midfield are good, but I like our midfielders, but a good way to look at things is by speaking. Yeah. Again, I just want to clarify, I don't think our midfield is superb, and I do think we should go and get one. Okay. But I just think, in football discourse, in football opinions and conversations, I think what frustrates me, and maybe I'm just asking too much, because at the end of the day, it's people's hobbies, isn't it? Watching football, supporting your team, it's a hobby. So I can't ask people to take it super seriously and, have conversations like it's an academic back and forth, can I? But just think there's always a massive lack of context to people's opinions and the things they'll tweet out, and it just very quickly, without that context, without that reasoning and background understanding and actually explaining your point clearly, and not just from a frustrated fan who's just come off the back of a disappointing draw, when you're emotionally charged and you will say stupid things. People just need to take a chill pill, realize it ain't all that, and think, well, can I be unhappy with our midfield, but can I realise that actually they're not as bad as some people say they are, because we did do incredible things last year, and most of them were part of the team that has won us most of our trophies in the Klopp era. So again, not mutually exclusive. I feel like Klopp should have at least tried 4-2-3-1 in pre-season, now that we have a natural 9 in Nunez. But again, we kind of become a 4-2-3-1. We genuinely do. Well, when we're in possession, that is more or less what we become. It's obviously the 4 at the back, and then it's Fabinho and the left-sided 8. So yesterday it was Milner, almost in a pivot. Maybe Milner's slightly more advanced, but the right-sided 8 acts as our number 10. Yes, he sticks over to the right most of the game, but he acts as our number 10, and it becomes technically a 4-2-3-1, doesn't it? When you look at it like that. So I just think, don't get too caught up in exactly how, Sky Sports put the lineup or how it looks at kickoff, 4-3-3. Have a look at what's happening during the game when we're in attack, when we're in defense. It changes. It's fluid. Why are so many players out of form? Well, that is the question, isn't it? We don't really know. Fabinho had a stinker yesterday again, and it's concerning that Liverpool really have only one decent DM. Yeah, exactly. And I think we can't rely on Henderson to be the backup for that either. Fantastic. It's dinner time, so we're going to have to wrap up in a second. Emily Roberts says Elliott looked really good at times against Palace. He needs more game time, and I don't think Millie should have started. He is 2 billion years old. For me, Keita should have started over Millie at Palace. Well, I don't know. Yeah, you know, I think we've beaten the hatchet with James Milner, haven't we? He really shouldn't be a starter, but he's not, is he? He's here because we've got injured players. I think that's what probably alarms people more, isn't it? Liverpool linked with Benaker. Is Bentancur? I don't know. Conor Gallagher, good fit. Yeah, but would Chelsea sell them? I don't know. Thoughts on Robertson? He's been horrible for a while. Well, I heard Simicast came on and didn't do very well either. Please do a poll on whether we should stick with our current midfield or get Gallagher from Chelsea. Sorry, I've got to end, unfortunately. Nunez has put up an apology tweet. Oh damn. I wish I had more time for this show, but I'm on holiday and dinner calls, so I will have to end it. But Nunez has put up an apology tweet apparently, and I missed that. So please do go and check that out. If you haven't done so already, please do like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. We'll be here every night, 7:30 p.m. back to regular time now. Tomorrow is Transfer Central. So any links that come our way, we will get into it and we'll talk about it. So please do stick around. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and tick the bell notifications as well for notifications of when we go live, which is every night at 7:30. Next game is Man United, where we'll have a live watch along and pre and post match reaction for that as well. Thank you for joining, everyone. It's been a great stream. Please take care of yourselves and check out all our previous content as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Transfer Central. Take care, everybody.